You know, when someone passes away, we often think about the 49 days that follow as a time for mourning, right? But what if it's more than that? What if it's an actual shared journey for both the living and the person who's gone? That's what we're digging into today.
And it all comes back to that huge universal question, doesn't it? Is death really the end of everything? Well, according to this ancient Buddhist text, the Kṣitigarbha Sutra, the answer is a definite no. It's not a final stop. It's actually the beginning of a really critical transition, a journey through the dark.
Okay, so here's the game plan for how we're going to explore this. First, we're going to look at what this journey is actually like for the spirit. Then, and this is the fascinating part, we'll see how the living can literally lend a hand from our world. We'll dive into the sacred rules that make it all work, unpack the incredible power of pure devotion, and then, finally, see how this whole thing ends up being a blessing for everyone involved.
All right, so let's put ourselves in that place for a second. What is it really like for a spirit in those first moments after death? The ancient texts, they paint this picture of, well, profound uncertainty, a time of really deep confusion. Yeah, there's a name for this state. In Korean, it's called Jungyu, or maybe you've heard the term Bardo from Tibetan Buddhism. It's basically a transit lounge, an in-between place. I mean, just try to imagine it. You wake up somewhere you don't recognize, you can't talk to anyone, you are completely and utterly alone. That's supposedly what the spirit goes through for these 49 days.
This slide here really breaks down the spirit's ordeal. It kicks off with wandering. The sutra literally says the spirit is like a fool or a death person, just totally lost in darkness. Then comes judgment, where their life's actions, their karma, get weighed on the scales. But honestly, the most heart-wrenching part is the waiting. The spirit is just desperately hoping, waiting, for their family back on Earth to send some kind of help.
Now, this whole journey isn't just one long 49-day blur. It actually unfolds in these 7-day cycles. So every week, there's a critical turning point where the spirit's awareness kind of shifts. And these moments, these are the key windows of opportunity, where the living can send a powerful burst of spiritual energy to help guide them.
And that brings us right to the role of the living. See, while the spirit is lost in the bardo, their family isn't just sitting by helplessly, not at all. They have a vital, active part to play in all of this.
And here is the absolute core idea. The rituals that the family performs, they aren't just about remembering someone. No, they are meant to be a tangible, spiritual lifeline. Think of it like a rescue rope thrown across the veil to help pull their loved one out of all that suffering and guide them toward a better rebirth. Okay, but that just raises a huge question, right? How does that actually work? I mean, how can something we do right here in our world really reach across and help a spirit in the next?
Well, the answer lies in a really specific set of sacred rules and methods. And these are not just some arbitrary traditions. They're seen as the very mechanics of how this spiritual energy gets generated and, more importantly, transferred.
And you can really see the stark contrast here. A proper offering, it's all about purity and devotion. The food is offered to the Buddha first before a single person tastes it. The result? Blessings for everyone. But on the flip side, if the offerings are made carelessly or if someone sneaks a taste beforehand, the texts are brutally clear. The deceased gets absolutely nothing from it. Zero.
So you see, these rules about not tasting the food or keeping everything spotless, it's not just about old-fashioned etiquette, it's basically a kind of spiritual technology. It's all designed to focus the mind and keep the intention behind the ritual pure and powerful. And this leads us to the real power source behind this entire process. Because it's not just about the physical actions, it's about the mental and spiritual state that's driving them. I mean, this quote from the sutra just says it all, doesn't it? The devotion of the living is the blessing of the deceased. It's a direct cause and effect link. The more sincere and focused the family is, the more benefit the spirit receives. It's that simple.
The key word here is jongseong. Now, it's a Korean term that we might translate as devotion or sincerity, but it's so much more than that. It's this pure, concentrated mental energy that comes from reverence and absolute focus. This is the real force that can actually change the karmic path of the person who's passed on.
And this idea of devotion builds to an even more profound concept. The idea that a family is bound together by what's called gongyup, or shared karma.
So, think of a family as a kind of spiritual community, because they're all connected by this shared karma. When the living family members really conduct themselves piously for those 49 days, living with intention, reverence, and purity, it becomes this incredibly powerful group spiritual practice. And this collective effort directly works to help purify the negative karma of their departed loved one. It's a team effort, really.
So, after all this, what's the ultimate result of this incredible 49-day journey of devotion and ritual? Well, here's the beautiful part. It is not a one-way street. The benefits, they flow in both directions.
The term for this is ik jong mong, and what it means is a profound benefit that reaches both those who are still living and those who have passed on. The effort creates this wave of positive energy that blesses everyone it touches.
They call this the shared victory. So for the person who has passed, they get the spiritual strength they need to break free from suffering and find a better rebirth. But for the living, the process is totally transformative for them too. They gain this deep wisdom about life and death, and all that devotion brings blessings right back into their own lives.
And it's important to remember, the spirit isn't going through this whole ordeal completely on their own. The teachings also highlight the role of Kṣitigarbha Bodhisattva, this incredibly compassionate guide who is said to walk alongside the spirit in the darkness, acting as a protector and helping them navigate the whole judgment process.
It really leaves you with a powerful thought, doesn't it? This ancient framework suggests that our love doesn't just end with death. It can actually transform into an active, powerful force for good. And it makes you wonder, in our own lives, how can our devotion, our sincere good deeds, truly reach across that divide to help the people we've lost?